Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. So the Tuesday Night War went down last night, and it got a lot of people talking. A lot of people were talking before the Tuesday Night War. There was a ton of just really, really bizarre social media engagement, if you will, about the Tuesday Night War. I saw all sorts of crazy takes, a lot of which just felt very, I don't know, misguided, I guess. One of the prevailing takes I noticed on social media was AEW has already won this thing because WWE loaded up NXT because they're scared. I saw this from several different people, both just in the general internet wrestling community and also some other content creators or media people, what have you. Obviously, people who probably are big AEW fans and see what WWE did as maybe petty or coming off as scared or whatever. Me, honestly, I don't know why WWE did what they did. You can speculate on several things, and there was a report that they just wanted to stick it to AEW and show them that they're, second fiddle. They're not the industry leader. I saw that out there, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if the idea was, hey, AEW, come at us on Tuesdays with our developmental brand, and we're going to blow you out of the water with our developmental brand, but we're going to load it up with main roster people. The entire episode of NXT, and granted, I don't watch a lot of NXT these days. I watched clips here and there. It came off as a little bit on the silly side for NXT. The Undertaker showed up at the very end. Cody kicked it off, announced LA Knight as a guest referee. You had an Asuka match. The Asuka match I thought was actually pretty cool because she has such history in NXT. But John Cena was there, which I know he's doing his WWE stint right now because of the strike. But and it's fine. It's fine. But the entire thing just seemed really silly. So that's my take on the NXT. The AEW stuff just came off as panic booking, to be honest with you. I felt that the Shida win over Saraya came completely out of nowhere. Soraya's only had one title defense, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, she beat Toni Storm, and that's been it for her. I think she was in a tag match as well. So maybe there is some sort of injury issue with Saraya. I haven't really given it much. I haven't looked on social media to see if there was actually a reason for that. Same thing happened with FTR just recently. Orange Cassidy won his international title back because Mox wasn't cleared to wrestle Phoenix. So there really was kind of a story building for Orange Cassidy being without the title, but then they just put him in the match and then they gave it back to him, which was a choice. And then wasn't there a third title? I don't know, whatever it was. I felt like it was just sort of panic booking on the part of Tony Khan. He didn't have a lot going for him story-wise these days. I thought that the craziest thing was putting Eddie Kingston and Minoru Suzuki in the pre-show. I think, to me, that's a selling point to watch cable TV. Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki. I think that's a good thing. I mean, if you really want to appeal to your AEW New Japan, fans out there, then put that match on the actual cable television instead of YouTube. But whatever, I don't know. That's just me. So yeah, there were those two titles, and then I don't know, was there something else here? This is what I'll do. I'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to take this form from Brandon Thurston, who's a terrific follow on Twitter, and it has a complete breakdown of everything that happened. Let's see here. Phoenix versus Hobbs. What is this? Danielson, Strickland. All right, so that was a thing. And then there was a squash. So this is a breakdown of everything side by side. What did NXT do versus what did AEW do? And I thought it was pretty interesting. So I figured we'd break this stuff side by side now that I've given you my very brief opinion on both of these shows. Of course, NXT started out with Cody Rhodes. And then on the AEW side, started their broadcast with a Christian promo. He's the hottest thing in AEW. So basically, they started out with the two kind of most popular things they have right now: Christian's TNT title run and Cody Rhodes. And then Cody Rhodes, out comes Ilya, Dom Mysterio. Of course, Judgment Day is kind of a big deal right now. So Christian through to Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. So very keeping in tradition of both products. Cody Rhodes in one of his promos, and a lot of people talking, kick off NXT. So if you like that kind of thing, you got that kind of thing. And then in the first quarter hour, you had Christian introducing Danielson versus Swerve, which, by the way, was a match of the year candidate. It was a phenomenal match. Really, really good stuff. By 8:15, we had Asuka versus Roxanne Perez. And then we had the start of Tyler Bate Butch and Ridge Holland versus Gallus starting off, I think, 8:30. And then you had Powerhouse Hobbs and Chris Jericho, which was a crazy squash match. Powerhouse Hobbs completely destroyed Chris Jericho. Really great way to build up Powerhouse Hobbs. So, you got a match, a really good match, Asuka versus Roxanne Perez, and then another really good match with the pub brawl versus, other matches on the other side. So, whether or not you'd call that a wash or not, given that Danielson versus Strickland was very, very, very good, not taking away anything from the other matches on the other side. But, I guess it just sort of depends on who you'd rather see at that point, Swerve and Danielson or Asuka, Roxanne, and then the Gallus and British Strong Style guys, or Brawling Brutes, whoever you want to call them. After that, NXT had an elongated package for Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. I thought that was really cool because it's really building up Lyra Valkyria. I think she's really good. And then you had the really funny Adam Cole, Roderick Strong Kingdom vignette. I liked that. Very WWE-ish, though. They're doing the comedy stuff there. Orange Cassidy versus Rey Fenix ended started around the 8:45 mark. NXT had their first ad break at 8:45. And then it had John Cena and Braun Breaker in a promo. And then you had here, what is this? Okay, so you had the finish of Phoenix versus Cassidy. That great Tony Storm video, which was hilarious, and everybody's saying that sort of was the best thing of the night, regardless of brands. It was Tony Storm short silent film. That was amazing. Wardlow versus Matt Sydal, another squash match. A backstage segment with 2.0 and with Jericho Appreciation Society, or formerly known as Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page, kicked off the second hour. Meanwhile, over here, you had a Cody Rhodes backstage bit, a Baron promo. You had Dom versus Ilya with LA Knight as the ref, which was pretty silly as well. So, and then, good Lord, what happened? 9:15 to 9:30 on the NXT side. A bunch of backstage stuff. And then I thought this was cool. You're highlighting some of your future. Lola Vice versus Danny Palmer in the breakout tournament stuff. Meanwhile, Jay White, MJF, and Juice Robinson with the promo. By the way, Juice Robinson with that roll of quarters for MJF. I'm not huge into that. Don't think it was a great idea. But that's a lot of people are voicing that particular opinion as well on social media right now. It'll be interesting to see if that's something that AEW continues to revisit. Even though MJF greenlit it, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff in pro wrestling. Let's see here. 9:30. So coming down to the final stretch here, we had what is this? Danny Palmer versus Lola Vice, a Chase U segment, Breaker and Paul Heyman backstage, and then Cena, and then a bunch of entrances. Oh, and then we had the Brian Pillman Jr. video, which I'm sort of torn on. We're doing our NXT review over at the Going In Raw stuff, so you can get my full opinion on that. So be sure to check out that podcast. That's already in the bag. That's already up and ready to go because I'm releasing this a little bit later in the day. Hikaru Shida versus Saraya, and then a Callis and Takeshita promo. And then coming down to the end here, we had we had a backstage bit with Asuka and Tiffany Stratton. And then we had started the main event, which is Carmelo Hayes and John Cena in his corner, Braun Breaker with Heyman in his quarter. And then you had an MJF Acclaim package backstage, Christian Cage with a promo, and then you had Adam Copeland versus Luchasaurus, and Adam Copeland's first match back. And then The Undertaker showed up in the overrun, and the overrun for AEW had Wheeler Yuta. So I don't know. Look, it's the thing about AEW is that I don't know about the title changes. I thought that they were rushed. No story behind them. Basically just panic booking. Like, oh my God, the WWE's bringing Cody Rhodes in. You got to stick to your stories. You got to stick to what you're doing. And AEW's not done a great job lately of like sticking to their stories. Like Adam Cole's story is pretty good. This MJF stuff, I think, with Jay White's pretty good, minus the Juice Robinson stuff. They have stories being set up and playing out, but like these title changes are just sort of, they come off as panic booking. There might be something more in the case of Saraya. I don't know. So he just went ahead and, Sheeta's reliable. So he pulled the trigger on that. I don't know. But, AEW did what they could do because WWE got silly with it. Like, I'm sorry, but it wasn't a real episode of NXT. It was just really kind of silly. And I don't know. Look, we're still an hour and a half away from the actual ratings coming out from when I'm filming this. At this point, I'll assume that NXT beat AEW in the ratings, probably by, I don't know, I'm going to say 150,000. Maybe that's the case. I'll probably put in the correction right here. Because I'm going to release this later after the ratings come out. So anyways, there you go. I thought the entire exercise was really silly and really dumb. I don't want to see them competing against each other again, because I think to a degree, it kind of brings out a little bit of the worst. It doesn't bring out, oh, let's really compete with what we got. WWE side, let's compete with what we got on main roster. And then AEW side, let's hotshot a bunch of title wins, which I didn't think was great. And then ending with Edge versus Luchasaurus. I never thought that was a good idea. That's just not much of a drawing match for me. But anyways, we'll find out. The ratings, I'll probably put them right here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you around.